A wealthy doctor whose Ferrari had broken down mocked the young mechanic who showed up to fix it. She blew smoke in his face and asked if he was even old enough to be working. He was just a poor college student trying to make money over the summer, but she was about to change his life forever. She taunted him, asking if he needed money that badly. He admitted he did. She looked him up and down as a dangerous idea formed in her eyes. She caressed his cheek and whispered in a low voice. She coolly told him to sleep with her, and she would give him whatever he needed. Shocked, he could only stare. When she asked if he was willing, he didn't refuse. Instantly, she pulled him into her car and drove straight to her house. She threw him onto the bed, and their night of passion began. As she held him, he asked a fateful question. Was it her first time? She smirked and said no. The next morning, he woke to a shocking sight, a wedding photo on her wall. He asked in disbelief if she was married. She casually replied that she was divorced. Just then, her ex-husband stormed in. He found the boy's dirty clothes and a backpack full of tools. Furious, the ex realized she had brought another man into their home. He yelled, asking if she had brought a stranger home, and found a used condom wrapper in the trash. He screamed that their engagement was off. But she only laughed. He warned her that their business ties were too deep to break. When he tried to slap her, the young mechanic suddenly appeared and blocked the blow. The ex was stunned. He sneered, asking if this was the guy, looking at the boy wearing his clothes. But the woman stood firm, putting her arms around the young mechanic. She whispered, looking him dead in the eye, asking if it could be that he had fallen for her. After a night with the beautiful, wealthy doctor, the young mechanic had to return to his harsh reality. As she helped him with his shirt, his phone rang. It was his cruel boss calling him back to work. She offered him a new job, but he had no idea what she really wanted from him. Back at the shop in pouring rain, his boss unleashed a torrent of insults. He mocked the young man's mentally ill mother and useless father. When the boss refused to pay him, something inside the young man finally broke. He snapped, grabbed a tool, and held it to his boss's throat. He snarled that if the boss called his mother a psycho, maybe it ran in the family. Terrified, the boss paid him. The young man rushed to the hospital, but his desperation wasn't for himself. It was for his little sister, who lay in a hospital hallway waiting for a life-saving surgery his family couldn't afford. That was when the doctor saw him. In a single moment, she understood everything. She walked to the nurse's station and gave a simple command. She instructed them to move the girl to a VIP room and said she would pay for everything. She found him outside, her expression unreadable. She said she had heard about his sister. He thanked her, promising to work to pay her back. But she just smiled. She purred that she didn't need a worker, she needed him. She confessed she was a simple person. She said she saw him and wanted him, and was very satisfied with his performance the previous night. She made him an offer, be on call for her 10 times, and his sister's medical bills would be covered. Would he accept her deal to save his sister? The boy was about to be beaten to death by his own father. It was because he had tried to save his abused mother. The woman, covered in bruises, was terrified of her husband. But the boy bravely stood in his way, determined to take his mother and run. The abusive father sneered, calling his wife a lunatic. He cruelly reminded the boy that his sister was on her deathbed. Enraged that his son would defy him, the father raised his club to strike a fatal blow. But just in time, a team of volunteer doctors arrived for a house call. A flood of memories returned of a young, injured kid who once called her sister. She had promised she would always protect him. The boy took the full force of the blow to shield his mother and collapsed into her arms. Fearing he had killed his son in front of witnesses, the father panicked. The doctor rushed the boy to a local clinic for treatment. When he finally woke, his first question was about his mother. The doctor reassured him, telling him his mother was finally safe. She was being moved to a proper hospital in the city, far away from his father. Overwhelmed with relief, the boy promised he would spend the rest of his life repaying her kindness. But just as it seemed the worst was over, a man from the city arrived. It was her estranged husband, a wealthy CEO. Instead of concern, he looked at her with disdain. He mocked her, asking if, as the CEO's wife, she'd rather be playing savior in that dump. The powerful CEO tracked down his estranged wife not to apologize, but to accuse her of cheating with a younger man. He sneered that since he was her fiancé, he would forgive her for cheating this one time. He tried to drag her home, but he was about to learn a lesson he would never forget. Furious at his hypocrisy, she slapped him and told him he was disgusting. The CEO only grew angrier. He cruelly told her he was the only man who would ever want a dirty woman like her. He had no idea who he was messing with. She was no longer the timid woman he could control. She calmly walked into a family meeting already in progress and revealed the truth. It turned out their families were old friends, and her family was the powerful one. All that time, the CEO's own sister had been lying to him. She had pretended the doctor was promiscuous when in reality, she was the one with a tainted reputation. The arrogant CEO and his scheming sister were utterly humiliated. But she didn't care. After officially breaking things off, she was finally free to be with the one who truly cared for her. As her nurse friend watched in shock, the boy she once protected had now grown into the man who would protect her. He pulled her in for a passionate kiss, ready to start their new life together. But their happiness was being watched. Meanwhile, the boy's mother, who was supposed to be recovering safely in the city, suddenly woke up in a strange hospital room. Just moments after breaking her engagement, she was confronted by her ex-fiancé's sister. The sister cruelly mocked her for being shameless enough to show her face. She accused her of cheating, but she was about to learn this woman was no longer a pushover. She revealed that it was her family's power and influence that had propped up their company all along. Her ex-fiancé's mother had the audacity to bring her husband's illegitimate child into their home. Now, they dared call her shameless. She looked at her pathetic ex-fiancé and told him their relationship was over. It was because of the secret he'd kept from her, the fact that he couldn't have children. Free from that toxic relationship, she went out with her friends to celebrate. But her night was interrupted when the club manager brought over a group of handsome men. He tried to get her to pick one. She coolly turned them all down. That was when he walked in the most handsome man in the room, the real top guy of the club. He dismissed the others and sat down right next to her. He knew her ex-fiancé was a fool for letting her go and was determined to win her over. As he offered her a piece of fruit, their connection was obvious. Just after breaking off her engagement, this woman was already in the arms of another man. But this was no ordinary affair. It was the first step in her epic revenge. While her rich and powerful ex-fiancé drowned his sorrows, she was teaching his younger brother a lesson in passion he would never forget. She knew her ex was watching, and she wanted him to see what he had lost. The enraged ex-fiancé raced home, but he was too late. She had already changed the locks. He banged on the door, screaming her name, but she was in control now. He was forced to watch through the window as she and his brother shared an intimate moment. He was completely powerless to stop them. That night, while he was being thrown out of his own house by security, she was in bed with his brother. The next morning, she woke up to find the young man had already made a delicious breakfast for her. He was completely smitten, but she was not done with her revenge. She reminded him their relationship was purely transactional. She gave him a credit card and told him she was now his sugar mommy and he was her kept man. The boy was hurt but had no choice but to accept. But as she got up to leave for work, he looked at her with newfound determination. He said he wasn't content with just being her plaything. A husband stared at his wedding photo moments after his wife walked out the door. He whispered that he was so jealous he wished she were dead. The next day, she was confronted on the street by her ex-husband. He accused her in public of bringing another man home the night before. As onlookers gossiped and called her a cheater, she was humiliated. She shoved him away and escaped into a black Bentley that suddenly pulled up. Just then, the young man from earlier arrived to defend her. The ex grabbed his collar and called him a kept man. But the young man didn't flinch. He calmly showed a mark on his neck and shot back that a kept man at least stayed by her side. He asked what the ex-husband was, since he had been abandoned. He walked away, leaving the ex fuming. The scene shifted to a hospital, where the same young man now called a boy was caring for a sick woman he called Mom. He told her they had left Chow Village and were never going back. The woman was clearly unwell, her mind wandering. Then, the doctor who walked in was the very same wife from the beginning of the video. The sick woman sent her children out of the room, insisting she needed to speak with the doctor alone. What was the connection between these two women? An arrogant CEO exploded at his ex-girlfriend, accusing her of keeping another man at home. She fired back that she had done nothing wrong. She told him he was the one who let go of her hand first. He couldn't believe she had moved on. She shattered his ego, telling him his love was shallow. She said he only loved her family's status and could never accept her past. She told him what he was doing now was no different from that pervert back then. She called out his weak, pathetic pride. She declared she wasn't the girl who couldn't live without him. She said there were plenty of men in the world, and she wouldn't hang herself on one crooked tree. To twist the knife, She added she would just find a younger, more handsome boy. She left him utterly defeated. But her tough exterior hid a painful secret. Overwhelmed by the confrontation, she threw away her medication. Just as she walked away, the young man he accused her of hiding found the bottle. The label was clear: medicine for depression and anxiety. He now understood the depth of her suffering. Later, she made a stunning entrance at a high society party with her new partner by her side. But her rivals were waiting. They immediately tried to humiliate her, calling her an illegitimate daughter who was shaming her family. Just then, her ex-boyfriend arrived. She introduced her date as her new boyfriend, Xiao Ye. Her fiancé watched her with cold eyes as her lover confronted him. It set the stage for a shocking revelation. The matriarch of the wealthy Ruan family took the microphone. In front of all her guests, she announced she was searching for her long-lost daughter who had vanished 25 years ago. She offered a massive reward for any information and showed a photo of the only clue she had. Then she revealed a second, hidden detail. Her daughter had a distinctive plum blossom-shaped birthmark on her shoulder. The moment the birthmark was mentioned, the woman's lover froze in shock. Back at the party, the fiancé followed the lover into a hallway to humiliate him. He sneered that he had investigated him. He called him a kid from a poor village, with a farmer for a father and a crazy mother. He told him he was nothing. He said his fiancée was only using him as a temporary plaything, and that they were about to be married. He told him that for her, he was just a toy. But the boy just laughed in his face. He smirked and agreed that maybe he was a toy. But he pointed out she was clearly bored of the fiancé. He asked why, after being with him for years, she had suddenly come looking for him. He said the reason was simple: the fiancé had been dumped. He then delivered the final blow, a deeply insulting comment about their private life. It sent the fiancé into a rage, and he threw a punch. Meanwhile, in the restroom, the woman's own sister confronted her. The sister scoffed, calling her dirty for having a boy toy on the side. She said she didn't understand why her brother-in-law still wanted her. But she had messed with the wrong woman. She grabbed her sister and shoved her head into the sink. She coldly stated they were all women, and she was cleaner than anyone. She told her that victim blaming would never work on her. Furious and soaking wet, the sister screamed for help. The door opened to reveal the woman's worst nightmare. It was her disgusting cousin, the very man who had assaulted her years ago. He walked in with a wicked smile. Her triumphant expression instantly turned to pure terror. This time, there may be no one to save her.